and I was swollen. And I had a large leg wound that was opening up, and I had this palm that had a nail puncture. But one thing I remember telling Brian all the way through, we got to hurry. It's going. And he said, Stan, what is going? What you see here is a steel structure by profession. I'm an engineer. Steel don't bend. What do you see burning there is all cosmetic and draperies, paper. No, we got to hurry. In my sixth senses, I knew something is going, but I couldn't figure out that the building is going down. But what I keep saying over and over, we got to hurry. It's going. And he says, Stan, you're in shock. We stopped because I couldn't breathe, and I was in the best shape of my life. I stopped at one floor, and Brian put his hand against the door, opened it up. He picks up the phone, called his wife to tell him that there's a guy from Fuji Bank I have here. I'm bringing him home. He is in a bad shape. But while he's on the phone, something caught my attention, and something that I live with every single day. Every night before I pass out and sleep, I would hear the same voice in my head, and I would look at the same faces. And I don't describe people in color, but I will today. An African-American security guard stood up. A Caucasian gentleman was on the floor, closely shaved head, massive head injury. I can see blood and bubbles oozing out of this man's scalp. Back was broken. And this man is crying out the same cry that I hear every night. Please tell my wife and the baby that I love them. We just got married. And that security guard could have escaped, but he chose to stay. And they never made it out, and they both perished. And every single night before I sleep, I can hear that cry. Please tell my wife and our baby that I love them. And that man, that security guard, he was the unsung hero. He guarded this man with his life. I tried to reach my wife and I couldn't. When the first plane hit the first building, they were watching from the office window. And as they watched, they saw the second plane came in. When the plane hit the building, she knew in her heart that I was a goner. And she just went home. One of the girls took her, get her something to drink, put her in a car, drove her to the train station, and she was gone. So she's just waiting to hear the news that I'm gone. So we continue walking in the lobby of the 81st, from the ground floor of the second tower. And what we saw there were firefighters and cops and EMS workers. When these people saw us, they were shocked because they never expected people to be in the building still, not realizing from my floor going upwards, everybody was trapped coming down.
Right.
Brian later told me that when he came to my floor, he was coming with a group of 6 other people. They saw all this debris. They thought something worse was happening. The rest of them went back up. They made the wrong choice. He stopped to help me, and that's how he lived.
Wow.
So
he stopped to help you, and that's what saved his life.
Yeah. Yes, ma'am, because everybody who went back up, they perished.
Mm-hmm. And so after you get out, Stan, and you realize, that more than 3,000 people died that day. How do you begin to process why you lived and the miracle that God granted you?
I asked myself that question many, many times. Lord, why me of all these good men and women? Why? And I stopped one day and asked myself, why not you? Why not you, Stan? And I may never understand why young people die and old people live. I may never understand that selective process that God uses. He is sovereign. He can do whatever he chooses. I never know that answer. All I know, in his mercies, he reached down and he plucked me out of that fire and I lived. And it's all because of his grace. Had it not been for that divine grace, I would have died. And I don't know the answer to that question. I've always asked, why? No.
Wow. Let's take a break here, but when we come back, Stan, I want to talk about 20 years later. And it's so obvious that you love God and you have a heart for God. And it's so refreshing to see, and what a miracle you are. Let's talk about, on the other side of the break, 20 years later. Stay on
20
point. We're
years.
back right after this.